Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, Magnetic Reversal News, and Shinrin Yoku, bringing you a grand solar minimum update Friday, September 9th, noontime 2022. You're looking at the U.S. smoke map, and it is quite smoky. We're also keeping a close eye on the developing seismic crisis at the Tyrnus fracture zone in Iceland as it accelerates. But the big story, late summer snowstorm could dump a foot of snow on the mountains of Wyoming. Say it ain't snow. Keep calm. It's boom time. It's true. Snow is coming to the mountains of not only Wyoming, but potentially Montana and parts of Western Canada. Take a look at the GFS model there. Just a little bit, but certainly some evidence of things that are coming. And we're not bumming. How cold is it going to get in Colorado this weekend? Well, it is a roller coaster. We went from some record high temperatures in the upper 90s, and now we're going to skip over to a high just in the 60s. We have huge temperature fluctuations in Colorado. In Denver alone, the high temperature will drop 37 degrees from Thursday's 99 to Saturday's 66. That's the high, going from 99 to 66. That is just the way it works in the mountains, especially with a very shifting jet pattern due to the weakening magnetosphere. Now, here we are at a new fire, the Mosquito Fire, which is creating its own weather. 8,300 acres burned, and let's take a look at the daily summary. As of Friday, there are at least 121 notable fires burning across the western U.S. after a relatively mild summer wildfire season in California and neighboring states. Fires have been breaking out with alarming frequency, especially as the region faces some grueling heat over the last few days. At least two, the Fairview and Mill fires, recently became deadly. Elsewhere, extreme weather, including dry thunderstorms, continue to exacerbate fire conditions. And for many areas, there are many more weeks of fire season to come. Check this link below. It's an interactive map on all the major wildfires and the news covering them. And we do have more to cover. 40,000 at risk of power shutoffs as Oregon wildfire danger grows. Oh my. What are we looking at here? The Oregon State Fire Marshal Office is helping battle the Double Creek Fire here in northeast Oregon, which has spread to 100,000 acres as of Thursday, September 8th. So that's what we're looking at there, the Double Creek Fire. And let's take a quick look over at Power Outage US to see if, yep, Oregon, the big winner. Only 13,000 without power currently, so that is way less than the 40,000 at risk. That number could increase, though, as the day progresses, so heads up there. Now, officials are preparing to evacuate 22,000 people from the Hemet wildfires path, raising dire warnings of high winds. And these winds are being exacerbated by Hurricane K offshore. Smoke is set to envelop Seattle as heat and wildfire danger increases this weekend. It's all about the wildfire. You can see the smoke there in Seattle. Heavy smoke could be moving into the city there. Already some pretty significant smoke plumes. And come over and check the Fire and Smoke Map version 3.0, which is very interactive, and you can just zoom in on your area. So it's looking like the Great Plains is the haziest area in the U.S. currently, as well as areas near Fresno in that valley. They know how to capture the haze in the valley. Now, heat and high winds, fire weather, and flooding in the west. The western U.S. remains very active with several possible weather hazards today. The relentless heat in California will last through today. Thankfully, it will end. Tropical moisture from weakening K may result in flash, urban, and small stream flooding in Southern California and parts of Arizona, and this will push north into the Four Corners region tomorrow, as gusty high winds are also possible in Southern California. Finally, fire weather threats will be issued in the Northwest. So click on your county for more info, and there are some snow or winter storm warnings right there. Take a look. Western Wyoming. Holy macaroni. Let's take a look at the GFS model, and you can see K pumping moisture into the Four Corners region in Southern California over the next day or so. Heavy rain happening probably later today in Southern Cali. So we should be looking for some flash flooding right there on the Mexico border. Heads up. There's also some pop-up storms and moisture in the southeast lingering for the next few days as this frontal system moves through the Great Lakes region, looking like this weekend. And then that could be a developing nor'easter for early in the work week. Take a look at that. Now, here is the tropical outlook for the Atlantic. Hurricane Earl is still churning away with maximum sustained winds at 100 miles per hour. And we have 30% chance of Disturbance 1 developing in the next 48 hours and 20% in the next 5 days for Disturbance 2. So let's take a look at Europe as some of these tropical storms make their way over there. And here's the precipitation forecast for the next week. So the big winner is Ireland, as well as the central UK there, and the Alps region, as well as Italy. And as we progress this through and multiple storms hit the region, Norway is going to be the biggest winner overall, as well as Portugal. So heads up in Spain, heads up for France, heads up for Germany. You are all about to get saturated, as well as Italy. Much needed moisture headed your way. Now, regions of Russia and Belarus suffer the earliest frosts on record. Now, these cold benchmarks are also falling in New Zealand, and September snow is forecast for the U.S. We just covered that, as USDA crop estimates are revised lower. Now let's talk about regions of Russia and Belarus suffering their earliest frost on record. Eastern Europe has been experiencing record-breaking cold and heavy rain since the onset of September. In fact, this has been a similar setup for long stretches of the summer, because while Western Europe had been attaining all the headlines with global warming propaganda, it's been holding anomalously cold across the majority of the eastern portions of Europe. Take a look at this. This is a temperature anomaly map. Blue is below normal. Red is above normal. And that is about to switch around in a minute. But yesterday, the mercury in Finland plunged as low as 18.5 degrees Fahrenheit or minus 7.5 C at Yelevska Airport. In fact, the first week of September has been Finland's coldest in decades, particularly in the south, where the capital, Helsinki, has suffered its chilliest start to the month of September since 1941. Sign of the times. Seismic update. No quakes of note. Good news. Although lots of seismic activity is not being shown by the USGS, is popping off in Iceland. And here we are at Iceland. Let's just check, before we get to the main map, let's check the overview here and the special remarks. Seismic swarm in the Tyrannus fracture zone began on the 8th of September east of Grimsey. A total of 2,300 earthquakes have been detected, and the largest earthquake detected was M4.9 on the 8th of September. Now, there have been 3 large quakes in the last 48 hours, including a 5.7, a 5.4, and a 5 magnitude. So a lot of seismic activity happening, but the majority in the Tyrannus fracture zone is now centered offshore in this region near the island of Grimsey. And we had another uptick just a few hours ago in that seismic swarm that's happening offshore here. Now, in historical past, seismic swarms like this have triggered larger seismic events above 5 magnitude. So we could be looking for a larger earthquake here, or potential volcanic activity, because in about 1850, there was a subsurface eruption in this area. So 2 possibilities there: tectonic activity and a large quake happening, hopefully not in a populated area offshore. Maybe a tsunami. It's anyone's guess. These are all the probabilities of what could be happening here in the Tyrannus fracture zone. So we'll keep a close eye on there and inform you as things develop. Worldwide Volcano News Update. Nothing interesting as far as volcanoes are concerned. Is normal activity worldwide at Reventador, Popo, Sangay, Sabancaya, and Ducono, Semaru. What we are looking at and waiting for is perhaps some large activity coming from Merapi, as there is an alert level has been raised there, and there is some inflation around that volcano. Now we're going to finish up with some really interesting science. Study reveals striking differences in the brains of modern humans and Neanderthals. It's a very interesting study. The latest experiments focus on a gene called the TK-TL1 involved in neuronal production in the developing brain. The Neanderthal version of the gene differs by 1 letter from the human version. And when inserted into mice, scientists found that the Neanderthal variant led to the production of fewer neurons, particularly in the frontal lobe of the brain, where most cognitive function reside. Now, the scientists also tested the influence of the gene in ferrets and blobs of lab-grown tissue called organoids that replicate the basic structures of the developing brain. And this shows us that even though we don't know how many neurons the Neanderthal brain had, we can assume that modern humans have more neurons in the frontal lobe of the brain, where the gene's activity is highest. And so that's an interesting breakthrough on why, well, potentially we made it, they did not. Now, here is another mind-blowing breakthrough. And this is coming out yesterday. Borneo's skeleton may show 31,000-year-old amputation. This is maybe the largest scientific breakthrough in modern science. This is pushing surgical amputation from 7,000 years ago, which we once thought was the earliest types of surgeries. It pushes it back 24,000 more years, back through multiple cosmic catastrophes, back in a time where we don't have any information. But it is absolutely mind-boggling what they discovered. A 31,000-year-old skeleton of a young adult unearthed in a cave in Indonesia provides the oldest known evidence of an amputation, according to this study that we just showed you here. We're going to leave you links to all of this. Previously, the earliest known amputation involved a 7,000-year-old skeleton found in France, and experts believe such operations only emerged in settled agricultural societies. Now, maybe there were settled agricultural societies 31,000 years ago. Who knows? Here's the amputated limb. Now, the remaining leg bone showed a clean, slanted cut that healed over, according to Maloney, one of the team leaders. There were no signs of infection or fracture, which would be expected from an animal attack or an accident. Scientists say they do not know what was used to amputate the limb or how the infection was prevented, but the person appears to have lived about 6 to 9 more years after the surgery, eventually dying from unknown causes as a young adult. And that suggests detailed knowledge of limb anatomy and muscular and vascular systems, as well as intensive post-operative nursing and wound care. Absolutely mind-blowing. And we'll leave you links to the paper and the study. Now, Willie Soon is a member of Ceres Science. And he just wrote this paper, The Weaponization of Science, Politics, Vilification, and the Climate Debate. So check it out. He has tons of links and awesome videos for you to watch, so you don't have to read it, because Willie Soon is the bomb. Now, if you don't know about Ceres Science, it is the Center for Environmental Research and Earth Science. It's a multidisciplinary and independent research group that aims of the group is to address important issues in the fields of environmental and earth sciences, pushing back against government narratives and protocols. So, the way they do it is the way we do it, by re-examining old analysis with fresh insights. So, if you want to know more, I'm going to give you a link to all of their recent publications. You just click on them and read them for free, all the Ceres publications, and you can come and check it out for yourself. Now, we're going to finish up with a rare Byzantine coin that may show a forbidden supernova from AD 1054. Totally mind-blowing. And this also may be depicted in some petroglyphs here in the Southwest. Now, the AD 1054, a nearby star ran out of fuel and blew up in a dazzling supernova. Now, that's the fairy tale story. That's not what a supernova probably is, but we'll just read what they say here in the article. The star in question was located 6,500 light years away, and the blast was clearly visible in the skies over Earth for 23 days and several hundred nights afterwards. The explosion, known as SN 1054, was so bright that Chinese astronomers dubbed it a guest star, while skywatchers in Japan, Iraq, and possibly the Americas recorded the explosion's sudden appearance in writings and in stone. But in Europe, which was largely ruled at the time by the Byzantine Empire, Constantine IX, and the Christian Church, the big bedazzling explosion in the sky was never mentioned, not even once. Why not? Did the church simply ignore the spontaneous star, or was a more nefarious plot to cover up the reality of the cosmos at play? According to new research, a clue to the answer may hide in an unexpected place: a limited edition gold coin. Now, the study published in August of 2022 issue of European Journal of Science, a team researchers analyzed a series of 4 Byzantine gold coins minted during the reign of Constantine IX, and they show 2 bright stars framing an image of the emperor's head. It may be subtle and possibly heretical depiction of the supernova of 1054. And that's a boom to knowledge. Proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Share this video with like-minded people. And be safe. We love you.